Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of For the Par, Mind, Body, Golf. Today's episode is going to be all about the gear and equipment I use, focusing today on the body part of this channel, so looking at what I use for the gym, what I use for running, the trackers that I use, and we'll have a slight deep dive into each of the products. I love seeing this with the influencers that I watch and the people I garner inspiration from and understanding what they're using. So I figured I'd share what I use, and hopefully if any of you are on the lookout for any of these, you can try them out yourselves. I want to make it very clear, none of this is sponsored or affiliated or anything like that. This is just the equipment I use based on my own experience, but also some of it has come from suggestions from others. So yeah, if you've got any suggestions that can replace the gear I'm using at the moment, I'm always interested to improve and adapt what I use. So yeah, please reach out. First up, we have our running trainers. So I have 3 pairs of running trainers. I know that sounds excessive. I'll explain why in a moment. The first pair that you see here are my all black Hoka, apologies, I don't know the exact pronunciation, Clifton 9s. So these are the ones that I use in the gym when I'm specifically doing my high rocks training. The reason being, I plan on using these Fore high rocks. They've proven to be very good. I'm not getting any ankle slip or anything like that when I'm doing the sled push, which I was a little bit concerned about, especially having watched a bunch of videos on high rocks. But so far, so good. And obviously for the running part of high rocks, they are gonna absolutely come up trumps. My second pair of running shoes is also a pair of Hoka Clifton 9s. These are my outdoor running shoes, however. So I wanted to make sure that the pair of shoes that I was using in the gym wasn't gonna make the gym really dirty, but also I wanted to keep them clean and looking reasonable, just because that's who I am. So these are my slightly more worn outdoor running shoes. Again, Clifton 9s, I absolutely love them. Would highly recommend them if you have a fairly neutral running stance. Last but not least on the running shoes, and I want to make it very clear, the reason I bought this is because I have found a real passion for trail running. Now, yes, I live in Bedfordshire. There aren't the most exciting trails, especially when you compare it to like California and things like that. But the Speedgoat 5s have been phenomenal. So they offer that additional grip. They are a little bit sturdier underfoot. So if you're walking over or running over, should I say, very rocky terrain, you don't feel those rocks just absolutely piercing through. Whereas in the Clifton 9s, I found if I went slightly off-road and I stepped on a rock, I could really feel that underfoot. So my Speedgoat 5s are probably my favorite shoe. I absolutely love running in them, and cannot wait to do my 10k trail run in them in a couple of weeks time. The last pair of shoes that we're going to talk about on this video are my Nike Metcon 5s. So I bought these many moons ago. I think they're currently on the Metcon 9. They have been very much focused on my lifting. I will admit I originally started running in these, and my word, once you get a pair of running shoes, do you know the difference? I did a 5k in these and I got all sorts of Achilles pains, and it had me out of training for about a week or two around Christmas time. So to go from these to some proper running shoes was a revelation. But for things like compound lifts, exercises where I need a flat or a flatter foot, these are absolutely superb, which is why they're still in my rotation. Next up, we have the more technical side of my training and the gear I own. So first things first, I have an Apple Watch Ultra. I had an Apple Watch 4, I believe, before this, and I've always enjoyed Apple Watches. I know there is this whole 2 camps of Apple versus Garmin, and I did extensively research into the Garmin Epics and the Fenix 7. I'll be honest, the one deciding factor for me was the fact that you can't answer a phone call or reply to a text on the actual device. That was a real limitation for me, and frankly the Apple Watch Ultra served every purpose I could possibly need it to. I don't plan on doing any 100 or 150k runs at the moment where I would need the GPS for more than a day. But if that time ever came, then yeah, maybe I'd look back into Garmin. But for the time being, I've got my Apple Watch Ultra with a Ultimall band. Now this is just a band that was suggested to me by actually another influencer, Mark Lewis, so big shout out to him. I bought it following on a review from him, and so far it's been great. I bought it off Amazon. It's not particularly expensive. The one thing I would call out is obviously it's fabric. I'm sweating a lot in the gym, so it does come out miffing quite a bit, so it needs to go in the washing machine. semi-regularly. So if you are like me, someone who perspirates quite a bit, bear that in mind if you are looking to purchase this wristband. The other piece of tech I use for my fitness tracking is my MyZone MZ3. This was actually provided to me from my gym when I joined. It's something that they use throughout the gym, so if you're in classes you can do zone matching. Zones, for anyone that doesn't know, it's the zones that your heart rate performs at. So for example, the red zone would be 90 to 100% of your cardiovascular performance capability. Yellow is 80 to 90, green 70 to 80, blue 60 to 70, and then it goes white and then grey. So you can use that to see just how hard you're working from a cardiovascular point of view, which I've found has been a real driver for me as I've been in the gym. And you often find yourself pushing to hit that next zone on your MyZone band. Last up on the tech front, not directly a fitness piece of equipment, but something I could not live without in the gym, and it is my Bose Earbuds. So these are just a in-ear earbud. They last for what seems like forever. With the carry case having a built-in battery, so it charges it a few times as well. Between my running and the gym, these have been with me pretty much the whole time. I'd highly recommend them. They are a little bit on the pricey side, and I'm sure there are cheaper alternatives. The other issue I have with them is that when it comes to some of the races that I'm doing, they don't actually allow for in-ear earbuds. You have to have things like shock, so bone conductor earphones, but for my training, I would highly recommend the Bose Earbuds. They are an awesome bit of tech. Next up, we have a couple of backpacks. So one of them is a bladder-based backpack, which is my USWE Outlander 2. So this is a 1.5 litre bladder with about 500 millilitres of additional space. So enough space for your phone, your wallet, and maybe a couple of gels in there. I've used it a few times now for both running and cycling. I've found it to be really, really comfortable. It doesn't move around, which was a real concern of mine, because I've had it in the past where devices will cut into my neck and it feels really uncomfortable. This has not done that at all. So yeah, again, something I would highly recommend to people. It's been a real great bit of kit for me. Then we have my slightly larger backpack. This is my Dakin, again, apologies for the pronunciation here, Heli Pro 20. So I actually originally bought this for skiing. So this backpack is specifically designed to hold skis or a snowboard, as well as a bunch of food and drink in there. So I bought it originally for that, but it's also been great for if I'm running to the gym and I want to go work in the cafe after. I can put my laptop in there, my spare pair of shoes, go run to the gym. It holds everything I need. It's a great bit of kit, and not super expensive, which was nice. Finally, we're going to take a very quick dive into some of the clothing items I use. I wanted to highlight some of these because I have found them to be exceptional in their particular regards. So first up, we have my Stance Run Light socks. I know socks is an incredibly boring thing to talk about, but these things are genuinely great. The way they sort of cup your heel and really wrap around is awesome. I've had no issues with slippages, anything like that whilst running, and as I mentioned before, whilst doing high rock sled pushes, that sort of thing. So highly recommend these Stance socks. I know they're slightly expensive, but totally worth the money in my opinion. Now on the complete flip side of things, from a very expensive sock, we have a very inexpensive pair of shorts. So I went on to one of our local UK websites here for running equipment and came across High Estate running shorts. I was desperate for a pair of shorts that had a liner as well as the outer material. It's something that, if any of you are slightly larger, you'll know all about chub rub or chafing on your inside legs. So I wanted to make sure that whilst I'm still on my journey and still need that comfort, that I had a liner within the shorts. They are freaking awesome. So I have 3 pairs of them. There's 2 pairs here that you can see, but I have 3 pairs of these. They are absolutely amazing and really, really good value for money. Last but not least, I wanted to give a shout out to some of my Under Armour gear. Under Armour, just in general, I found their t-shirts, their underwear, etc. to be just awesome for training in. very limited chafing on things like your nipples and whatnot, but also just very breathable. Yes, obviously I sweat and it retains a little bit, but for the most part, it's been really, really good at keeping me dry during my workouts. So yeah, I have probably 4 or 5 Under Armour t-shirts. I would highly recommend their heat gear. It has been, yeah, great for me. So again, not sponsored anyway in any of this equipment, but big shout out to those products in particular. That wraps up all the gear and the equipment that I wanted to talk about today. Hopefully you found this to be interesting, and maybe there's a product or two in there that you're like, oh, actually I could use that, or that looks like a really interesting option for something that I was considering buying anyway. If you have any other items that you wanted any opinions on or feedback on, please reach out in the comments. I'm more than happy to provide my insight on things that I've tried and tested myself. As always, thank you for all the support watching this video if you got to this point. If you are enjoying the content, it'd be a great add-on if you wouldn't mind clicking that like button, hitting the subscribe button and the notification so that you know when any of the For the Par Mind Body Golf videos come out. But yeah, I will catch you in the next episode, which will also be this week, which I'm super excited about. So as always, I've been Alex. This has been For the Par Mind Body Golf. See you in the next one.